What does Dominic from Fast and Furious and Corbin Burnes have in common? They don't have friends. They have family. We got more from the Corbin Burnes introductory press conference right now on PHNX. Let's go. All and welcome into Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. This is the PHNX D-Backs podcast. I am your mayor of PHNX, occasionally known as Derek Montilla. Of course, I got large intimate Kevin Thomas, not to be confused or ever put together as Kevin Large Intimate Thomas. So that's a whole other acronym that we don't want to address. But Large Intimate Kevin Thomas on the ones and twos today. Welcome into all of you. Glad to see you guys here. Glad to be back with another episode of this podcast. I'm still lonely, but I'm glad to have all of you guys here. Of course, today we also have to welcome in Corbin Burnes to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not new to the Valley, but new to this team. And we have so much from today's introductory press conference. We also have some more on the Diamondbacks, obviously missing out on the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes and what they're going to do with their international signee money, as well as taking a brief glimpse at what the Diamondbacks, when we can expect to see them actually playing baseball. And that's all very, very exciting. But the Diamondbacks made their signing of right-handed all-star pitcher Corbin Burnes to a 6-year, $210 million contract official today. And I think that there were a couple of themes of today's press conference. Kevin, one of those themes being family. Family being very big, and I think we can all understand and relate when it comes to making decisions that make our lives better, not necessarily financially, because there's a good chance Corbin Burnes could have signed somewhere else for more money, but signing in a place that makes you happy and makes your family happy. And that seemed to be a big part of the reason why Corbin Burnes is an Arizona Diamondback. That was affirmed today by Corbin, by the front office, by Ken Kendrick, and by Mike Hazen. But we do have Ken Kendrick's opening statements in regards to Corbin Burnes joining this team. This is what Ken had to say.
As many of you who have followed the Diamondbacks over the years know that on rare occasions, I have something I say to all Diamondback fans. And today is one of those rare days when I get to say it's a great day to be a D-back.
Hell yeah, Ken, fire me up. Let's go. It is a great day to be a D-back. There had not been a lot of occasions where the Diamondbacks have signed someone of this magnitude. And again, that's another phrase that came up quite a bit, a signing of this magnitude, because it truly is. It came out of nowhere. I think it was referenced as a stealth operation, which is how they also acquired Zack Greinke, right? And when Kevin laughs at that, it's very funny, but it's true, because the Diamondbacks, much like the Zack Greinke signing, which this was compared to quite a bit in today's press conference, this was another instance of the Diamondbacks not really being in on a particularly large free agent like this, but like the snakes in the grass that they are, they came up out of nowhere and made Burnes, an offer that he accepted. And, obviously, again, it's not the most money that he could have gotten, but definitely a whole lot of money. $210 million gets into that point of like, you want to, as an athlete like this, you want to make as much money as possible. That's the besides the love of the game, that's the reason why you've made all the sacrifices in your life up to this point, why you've basically dedicated your life to this sport, is to make one day, hopefully, this kind of contract, right? But when you are talking about making $200, $300, $400 million, you are talking about an amount of money that you are never going to even spend in one lifetime, right? It's creating an absolutely outstanding life for your children and beyond, right? But Corbin Burnes probably could have signed for $35 to $100 million more potentially than he signed with the Diamondbacks. Some of the projections had him going closer to $300 million. So the fact that, he does kind of make this sacrifice shows how much he wants to be a part of this team. And again, I think that the addition of Corbin Burnes is just it's hard to really wrap your mind around how good Corbin Burnes is and what this makes this team. I believe Scott Boras said that the other teams in baseball have expressed to him that the Arizona Diamondbacks are a state of concern. They are a concerning baseball team. And let me tell you, you want your team to be a concerning team. We're a dangerous team. We're an effing dangerous team, and you know it. And we've talked about that in the past. But we also have Mike Hazen's comments here from the press conference. Here's what Hayes had to say about the signing of Corbin Burnes.
To follow up on Ken's statement, we are, it's not every day that you have the opportunity to sign a player of Corbin's caliber to add to a team that we feel over the last couple of years has grown into one of the better teams in the National League. So as we've stated from the outset, we are looking to push forward to put the best team possible from next year and beyond. And there's no better way to do that than to add a number one starting pitcher to the top of your rotation. We know that's what wins in the postseason. We know that's what gets you to the postseason. And we're looking to build on the recent success that we've had as a team, adding to our young core of players on the position side as well as in the rotation. So we're very fortunate that Ken and Derek gave us the opportunity to go out and sign somebody like Corbin. And we don't take that responsibility lightly. And now it's on us to build the rest of the team to put us in a position to make a run in the postseason.
And that's the most exciting part about today, right? Is hearing Mike Hazen express that they are not done yet. This is not a finished product and that they still have more work to do. We know that they still have more positions to fill and things that they would like to do for this team. But the odd part that everybody kind of understands here about the Corbin Burnes signing is that the Diamondbacks already had 6 starting pitchers, right? They already were in the market to potentially trade away Jordan Montgomery or maybe one of their other pitchers because of the fact that they have 6 starting pitchers. Then they go out and they make the biggest splash, arguably, of the free agent signing period by bringing Burnes, here to Arizona, right? So has always been a thought. There continues to be a thought of, like, obviously, who's the odd man out? Who goes? Who's part of this rotation? Mike Hazen confirmed the only person he knows right now as part of the starting rotation is Corbin Burnes. That's it. And he joked about that. But, again, Burnes himself said that a team is never going to just use 5 starting pitchers over the course of the season. And he's absolutely right. Look what teams like the Dodgers went through last year. Hell, look what the Diamondbacks went through last year with their losses due to injury, right? So the fact that they have 7 starting pitchers is not that out of the ordinary, I guess you could say, because a team that has good depth does have more than 5 starting pitchers. However, it's the caliber of the starting pitchers, right? It's the fact that arguably one of the best pitchers from last year's starting rotation, Ryan Nelson, is kind of right now the odd man out. It's kind of odd that a guy like Jordan Montgomery, who had as of a season he had last year, is still not someone you can write off, because if he comes back with a normal spring training and he comes back with a new confidence, especially after gaining Corbin Burnes as a teammate in the starting rotation alongside of him, who knows what he could be? Who knows what Mike Hazen could potentially turn one slightly used, slightly pre-owned, pre-loved. Was there any other?
Refurbished?
Refurbished. One slightly refurbished Jordan Montgomery. What he could get for him on the open market. So that's all very exciting, and I think that again, when you compare this to last season, I want to be cautiously optimistic. That last season we felt the same way, right? The addition of Eduardo Rodriguez and Jordan Montgomery gave us these same kind of feelings. I just don't know if this to this level, right? I don't know. Now, I'm not putting him on the spot because I'm not meaning to do that, but Kevin's not a huge baseball guy. He's a big fan of certain teams that I'm not going to discuss on this show. But I will say, Kevin, like, this has to be, like, in your opinion, even outside of being just a producer on this podcast, like the biggest pitching signing of the free agency, right? And
yeah,
it goes
1,000%. Outside of like a possible Sasaki, this is like the biggest home run you could hit.
Correct. And even then, he's not proven, right?
Yes,
like, you have the fact that he doesn't have that proven. You got Blake Snell kind of surprisingly signing with the Dodgers, right? But like,
this is an elite pitcher coming to Arizona to be a Diamondback specifically. in a surprise move. And I think it's, yes, by far the biggest signing that you could have had this offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the only thing that really makes it weird, in my opinion, is the fact that the Diamondbacks really didn't need a starting pitcher, right? It does, once again, though, give them that ability to potentially trade one of their starting pitchers, but it most likely won't be Zach Gallen based on his excitement that we heard about. We'll get to that here shortly, but we do have more. I think we have word from Scott Boras himself on this signing, and this is what Scott had to say about Corbin coming to the Valley.
I think this is a classic example of a player, Corbin and Brooke, really putting their family first. You always have the good fortune, you hope, to be competitive and also take care of the needs of your family and to do it at home. And I'm very grateful to Ken, who took a phone call and then took 10 other phone calls and really did something, I think, that had a lot to do with not only his baseball team, but his community, and understood what Corbin and Brooks' goals were. And I'm very pleased because when you have twins and you have a 3-year-old and you watch, and you always remember as a parent what a family has to go through at those ages. I'm so happy they get to stay at home and do it. So Ken and Derek and everyone in the new organization, thank you.
And that was the sentiment right there. And again, I know that Scott Boras is unfortunately one of those people that you just look at and even when he says something sweet and sincere like that, you're just hesitant to fully believe anything he's saying. But Scott's a good guy, and he represents a lot of baseball players across Major League Baseball. And I will say that he definitely, came across as again, very grateful that his client got this opportunity to do something that meant so much to Corbin, meant so much to his wife. They have twin daughters that are very young. They have a son who's also quite young, and Corbin Burnes discussed, like some of the travel issues he had, for instance, when his wife was giving birth, and the fact that a plane that he was, flying in to be here in time for the birth of his children ended up breaking down at like 2:30 in the morning, and he had to take an emergency landing and stuff. Like there's a lot about the last couple of years that has not been great for them as a family. And I think that the idea that they could be not only in a place where they already live and they already enjoy, because he does have a home here in Arizona, but it allows him to spend his spring training time here, which was one of the reasons why he owns a home here. The Brewers do have their spring training home here as well. And, again, it's about, having kind of everything in a place that he enjoys. That's one thing I took away from this press conference so much, is that Corbin Burnes wants to be here in Arizona. He wants to live here, and he wants to be a part of this team. He spoke very highly of watching this team as a competitor and watching their World Series playoff run. It felt different than, let's say, 1 year ago, the Jordan Montgomery press conference that felt very transactional, and it felt very much like it was a deal based on circumstance. Corbin Burnes expressed a lot of love for the Valley, and he expressed a desire to be here and help this young team that already made it to the World Series get that championship. And you could feel that. You could feel that from him. Here's what Corbin Burnes had to say himself in regards to signing here with Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, maybe being the first time going through free agency, I had to rely on Scott a lot with the info that we were getting and teams that were interested. But when we heard that this could be an opportunity, I think we got really excited. That's something that we've always dream about. Like, what happens if the Diamondbacks call? Like, we'd be like, well, we were going to have to take it. So we were fortunate that they were interested, and from talking to Scott, it sounds like it came together pretty quickly. So for us, that showed just how much they wanted us to be here, and how much we wanted to be a part of the D-backs. So it was just kind of a match made in heaven.
There was even a follow-up question that was almost incredulous as to why were you waiting a call of all teams was from the Diamondbacks, right? And honestly, that was another theme today that was almost kind of funny. Every single person in that room lives and works in Arizona, at least I think. And the attitude was very much still from the media in general. Why? why would you choose to live here, right? Look, I've lived in a tropical paradise before in Puerto Rico. I still decided to come back to Arizona. I can't explain it, okay? I can't. I could just say I understand sometimes that when you live elsewhere and you've spent time in the valley, there's this weird desire to return and stay here, right? And again, obviously his family had a lot to do with that, but when you hear him say that again, that just kind of adds to my enjoyment of having someone here that wants to be here so much. The Diamondbacks were a dream scenario to him. He was a free agent pitcher. Like sometimes you just kind of have to pick up the phone and go, "Hey, let's see if there's any spark here. Let's kick the tires on this relationship." I think we're all very glad that they did because, of course, like Scott Boras said, one phone call turned into 10, and the Diamondbacks are a team of concern for other teams across Major League Baseball, which again is very, very exciting right now. Kevin, do we have anything else?
Yeah, you mentioned joining a team that is good and entering maybe the D-backs kind of prime year, all in year. We do have Corbin Burnes on when he noticed that the D-backs were really kind of a wagon, when the Snakes were really, really effing dangerous.
Let's go. What do we got?
Yeah, I think the first time I realized that the D-backs were going to be a really good team for a long time was in 2023. I think I came here maybe early on in the season, threw the ball well. Then they came it was still when I was still in Milwaukee in August, and they knocked me around pretty well. And I was like, well, that's that's a different baseball team that I played early on. And then in the postseason, same thing, knocked me around. Eventually, obviously, went on to play in the World Series. But I remember telling people they're playing a different style of baseball, and I think we're starting to see that more and more around the league. But to me, the Diamondbacks were the first team to do that. They've drafted, they've developed well. To play that style of game, so I'm happy to be a part of it and to join a rotation that was already really good, and I think we've got the pieces to be a really good postseason team.
Well, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them, I guess. We got some great comments. Groundhog Mama says you have to love a man who is committed to his family and makes that a priority. He is still making a ton of money. That's absolutely the truth. Nicholas says this just doesn't happen for Arizona sports community. It's truly amazing and meaningful for us. That's a great point. I mean, it really doesn't happen often for us as Arizona sports fans. And again, it's it's great to hear an appreciation for the valley, and it's great to appreciate to have someone that's doing it again for his family and for starting to put roots down somewhere. And I think that's a big part of it. I believe he said he moved to the Valley in 2018 and just loves it here. And again, I mean, it's one of those situations where I'm can kind of relate, right? Sometimes things happen in life. I mean, me being a part of this little network that I'm somehow the mayor of is one of those moments for me personally, right? Sometimes you really don't believe something can be true, and then you just kind of go for it, and it ends up working out for you in the best possible way, right? So I will say that there's going to be a lot of questions about the rotation until the Diamondbacks make some sort of move to improve this team, make a trade, or again, maybe go out and fill. We know they still have some holes. They still have a DH spot to fill. They still would like to go out and get themselves a back end reliever that could be the closer of the future for this team, at least for the short term future. And they do have an excessive amount of starting pitchers, right? So it feels like logically a trade is imminent, that we will see this team do something to maybe move one of their starting pitchers. I mean, it used to be which outfielder were they going to move, and now the focus is on starting pitching, specifically due to the acquisition of Corbin Burnes. So let's hear from Mike Hazen himself, though, on what he knows for right now about the starting rotation.
I'll let Corbin answer his question. My answer to you is we still have a long way to go in the off season. We have a number of starting pitchers on our team. Corbin's going to be in the rotation, and that's really all that matters right now. We'll deal with the rest of it as we get there.
And I mean, again, that's kind of the way things have played out for this team. Mike Hazen has way more in the works than he's letting on, right? When you talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks moving stealthily, right? The stealth operations that they're currently pursuing, it's because they run a tight ship. They don't go out there bragging about players that they're going to try to acquire. They don't, discuss really when they missed on players. We know that's something that Mike Hazen doesn't really like to do, and for good reason. It really doesn't do much for you as a GM to go out there and tell people in the media that you tried to get somebody and missed on them. It's just acknowledging a failure that people don't really even have to know was something that you were pursuing. And again, when they go after these players and they land them, they tend to do it without much notice. It's like suddenly you get a notice that Zach Greinke is an Arizona Diamondback, Madison Bumgarner is a Diamondback, and now Corbin Burnes. Okay, like that's probably a bad, like let's leave the one in the middle. Zach Greinke was a Diamondback, and then we got notice Corbin Burnes was a Diamondback. But again, it's a huge move for this team, and Corbin Burnes is very excited in regards to joining this rotation. This is what Burnes had to say about being part of a very good, pitching staff.
Yeah, I think looking at the group that's here, you got a group of guys that have established themselves in the big leagues. Obviously, you got Zach, you got Merrill, Eduardo, and then some of the young guys that are coming up. It's a promising young group. So I'll let Mike speak on the depth of pitching, but I think everyone knows that you got to have more than just 5 starters to get through a season. So being a part of this group, being able to help some of the young guys to continue to evolve as pitchers and to develop as really good major league starters is what I'm glad to help out as well. So just a good group to be a part of. Like I said, good mix, and happy to be a part of it.
When you want to talk about his fellow teammates, Scott Boras said that Zach Gallen was more excited when he told him this news than he's ever seen him. And Zach Gallen went to the World Series. So he's more excited about Corbin Burnes joining this pitching staff than he is about going to the World Series. And honestly, I joke about that, but that's a very important person in Zach Gallen. It's a very important part of the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2025, but he could be a very important part of the Arizona Diamondbacks beyond 2025. The signing of Corbin Burnes, the fact that they both share an agent in Scott Boras, and the fact that he is so excited that Burnes is part of the starting rotation may help the Diamondbacks get Gallen back here long-term after this season. And that, again, that's something to deal with in the future. That's something to get excited about should that happen this offseason. I'm sure it won't happen until after the season is over. However, it should be something that's at least a little exciting. It should be something that at least adds a little bit of intrigue to the idea that Zach Gallen, who you kind of, if you're me, have already written off as not being a part of this team in the future, may in fact be around. So that's a lot of fun. We'll have more in regards to the Corbin Burnes press conference on the other side of this break. Don't you guys go anywhere. You are watching the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast. Today was not ordinary, of course, and of course it's never ordinary around here. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary, especially at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, and they offer early payout offers across all sports: NBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball. But right now is a great time to get down on the early payout offer on NFL football and on college football, because if your team goes up by 17 points you'll get an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections, as well as same game parlay selections will all be marked as winners. Last season, NFL games, there were both money lines were paid out for both teams on 4 different occasions, and that's because of the early payout offer. Applies to college again as well. New customers right now can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5. Sign up, use that code PHNX365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you will get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365 must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, I am constantly getting compliments on my Branded Bills hat, and you can elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel company. If you are looking to make some gear for your company and you want your brand to stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. You can also just check out their website for amazing caps like this Arizona one I'm rocking right now. They have a campus collection deal with the U of A and ASU, as well as they got some amazing Suns hats. That cactus logo that's only on the shorts, they got one of those hats too. So check them out. Head to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Well, we have more from the Corbin Burnes press conference. Again, this is a very important day. I mean, as far as Arizona Diamondbacks press conferences are concerned, this is a top three. This is the top three for me. Zach Greinke, probably still number one, only because Zach Greinke, such a weird individual. By the way, I may or may not have sat behind him at the Raw on Netflix premiere in Los Angeles. Still have no confirmation on that. Very much look like him. I'll post that picture on social media. You guys can be the judge. However, we do have more from Corbin Burnes. And most importantly, I think the big question here is that there's moves that are made across Major League Baseball. And when you look at, for instance, what the Sacramento A's are doing, it's improving their team and securing their future a bit. However, it does feel like a thinly veiled attempt to just reassure people that they're going to put a product out on the field that isn't going to be the White Sox from last season. But that remains to be seen. The Diamondbacks, there's a lot of, questions about this signing and what it says to the fans. Obviously, we as fans know that this is amazing. Like RA says, Corbin Burnes is on my team. Love it. I mean, that's just good to say. Corbin Burnes is on my team. Pedro says the rotation hypes me up. And Erica says very busy day for Kevin, the producer. Don't worry about how busy he is. That's I'll worry about that. You will worry about, your little team there in Tucson. What I will say is that this is, I guess, it's an in your face to us at this podcast. That's for sure. It's you thought we weren't going to spend money. Wrong. And Kendrick admitted several times today that this front office or this management group, this ownership group does not profit off of this team, and he won't allow them to do so while he is in charge of it. They put all of the money that they receive back into this team, and that's what allows them to make this investment. You might not believe that, and I would understand you not believing that. However, that's very much what this team seems to be doing, and you could question that. But when you see what they've done the last few years, especially after winning the World Series and what they did last offseason, what they're doing this offseason, it very much does feel like they are reinvesting everything that they make back into this team to try to keep this team a competitive team, to try to get them back to the playoffs and kind of make them one of those teams that stays in that playoff hunt. One of those teams that is a problem for the Los Angeles Dodgers, which, by the way, on Dodgers territory just yesterday, they were talking about this team being a problem for the Dodgers, as well as, the rest of the NL West that continues to stay very tough. But, this is what I guess we have Kendrick first discussing what this move, says to the fans.
It sends a message that we're in it to win it. And when you bring a talent like Corbin to the table, I think it underscores that desire on the part of our leadership. We're in a very competitive division. I think all would agree. But I think our fans need to understand that we're very committed to being successful. We've had some recent success. I think we have the potential to be a championship team. And I think every fan in every city, and this one in particular, covets that possibility, wishes for that, hopes for that. And I think our job is to try to do everything we can to put the best team on the field that is possible that we can afford. And we are stretching the budget. We have done that. It won't be the last time that we ever do it. But, my view of investing money is you invest it when there is an opportunity to get a return. And we're making a significant investment in a great young player. And I'm hoping for our fans and for me personally, I'm kind of aging out on this. I'd kind of like to have some additional success before I go off into the sunset. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I feel like our job is to put the team in a.
Yeah, my goal each and every year is to stay healthy. I've told everyone that my value is on the field.
It sends a message that we're in it to win it, that we ever do it.
Like our job is to put the team in a position where Ken and Derek feel that investment is warranted. Hopefully, and in this case, and in future cases, aggressive investment, because they believe in the team, that's on the field and the infrastructure underneath that, Torrey and the coaching staff, as well as what's in our minor league system coming up, which we all know, Corbin touched on, like you're not getting through a season without, forget about 26 players anymore. And that can really hurt you over the course of the season if you don't have the ability to supplement when guys go down or whatever may happen. So I feel like it's our responsibility to put the team in a position to do that, and Ken has always done this. Every single time we've been in this position, every time we've been at the deadline, he has aggressively told me to buy, and every time we've been in a position like this to acquire somebody of Corbin's talent, has wanted to get involved as well.
Kevin, you want to tell people what happened there?
Sorry, chat. You know what happened there? I got so excited about Corbin Burnes making his way down to the desert that I think I got my wires crossed. I wanted Derek to talk about Corbin Burnes' yearly goals, his New Year's resolutions so badly.
Yeah.
That
He's
I was
just
like,
smashing buttons over
Hazen,
there.
Kendrick, get him out of here.
It was a 2.5-minute clip, so I can understand being impatient about it, definitely. But I mean, I think that does say it gets the message across, right? I think that this team didn't even have to do something as big as the Corbin Burnes signing in order to make fans believe that they were going out there and trying to once again put a competitive product on the field, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that probably feel like what Christian Walker signed for with the Astros is a little frustrating, and you would have rather seen him stay here for that amount of money. It's not like he went somewhere for a crazy amount. It was basically the qualifying offer that the Diamondbacks offered him for one season over 3 seasons, and it feels like, they could have brought him back. However, there's some people that some fans out there that are happy to move on from Christian Walker, happy to see what Josh Naylor, brings to the table. And, again, happy to see this team still able to replace someone of Christian Walker's stature with Josh Naylor. It's just not going to be it's Naylor. It's not going to be the same Whopper song than the Walker song. But anyway, I will say that they could have at least done a little less, and it still would have sent the same message. This is just different, though. I think I saw someone in the chat say, "Be real, Zach is gone," when I was being hopeful before the break about maybe Zach signing here again. And you're probably right. Like it's right there. Chris said, "Derek, let's be real, Zach gone." But you spelled it with a C-H, and that may not be the same Zach. We might be talking about 2 different Zachs.
Random concession Zach. Is
Exactly.
working.
ZAC is a power name. Remember, that's crazy. It's crazy to name your kid just ZAC. You're really setting him up for confidence or failure one way or another there. But what this does, if the inevitable is there, if Zach Gallen is leaving, if Merrill Kelly is leaving and signing elsewhere, it gives the Diamondbacks the ability to have that ace here going forward. It should extend your confidence in this team beyond this season. There's a 2-year opt-out, so maybe at the least Corbin Burnes is just here for 2 years, but that still helps the Diamondbacks in 2026 in a season where you might be wondering what they're going to do in regards to, bringing for starting rotation or an ace in their starting rotation. So Elise is here. Elise, it was good to see you at the press conference today, sitting next to Corbin. Always great to see you. Elise says, so good to see you doing the show again. Glad I was able to make some of a live show today. Always great to have you guys here. Always great to have every single one of you here. But no offense to any of you, it's much better to see Corbin Burnes today. I love all of you, but I see you guys all the time. I never see Corbin Burnes in the Diamondbacks uniform, and we got that today. So that's very exciting. But like Kevin said, he's very excited to get to it, so I shouldn't hold back anymore. Here is what Corbin Burnes had to say in regards to, what his plans are.
Yeah, my goal each and every year is to stay healthy. I've told everyone that my value is on the field. So if I can take care of my body off the field, take care of my mind off the field, to be the best prepared I can and having the most recovered that I can between each start, I know that I can go out there and make 30-plus starts every year and give the team the best chance to win. So for me, coming off 21, my goal was never to try to replicate 21 in a Cy Young. If you're pushing for that every year, you're going to put yourself in bad spots and beat yourself up when you have tough stretches. So for me, once I got through that season, I knew I was going to be an established big leaguer, and it was all about the health. I knew the pieces were there. I knew the stuff was there. I just needed to continue to take care of what I could, and for me, that was the effort and attitude is what you hear kind of growing up, and for me, continuing to work hard in the weight room, in spring training, in the off season to to do what I can to put myself in the best position on the mound to stay healthy and have a competitive season has just allowed me to get to this point.
Maze Devils got me hyped because he just informed me, along with all the people running around my office, that the Suns traded for Nick Richards. So it's a banner day here in Arizona. Let's go. It's exciting. It's very exciting.
Literally just saw our own Eric Ruby just
sprint past. And I was like,
sprint, right
either something's on fire or a trade happened. I'm so happy for them. Their show starts in 14 minutes, so make sure not to miss out on the Sun show because that's going to be very exciting. But stay here for a little while because we got some more on Corbin Burnes. And I mean, there is going to be a lot of competition in the starting rotation, right? And that's not something Corbin Burnes really has to worry about. However, much like AEW's existence making WWE the best it's been in years, or maybe even ever, competition does bring out the best in everyone, right? And again, when we talk about Jordan Montgomery maybe bouncing back from the bad season that he had, bad, terrible, awful season that he had, this could be the kind of thing, along with a normal offseason and normal spring training, that could really cause him to have one of his better seasons and one of the biggest bounce backs in Major League Baseball. I don't really know. I mean, this is exciting, but here's what Corbin Burnes had to say about the competition with the starting rotation.
Yeah, I think you mentioned right there is pushing each other. You get the most out of everyone on your team when you can challenge each other, and just for what we did in Milwaukee is we always tried to one up each other. When I had myself, Woodruff, and Peralta. So when I look at the three that we have, myself, Gallen, and Kelly, or Rodriguez, or whoever it is, you create that internal competition of constantly wanting to one up each other. So when you do that, and all of a sudden you look and you're in August and you've got a lead in the National League West, that you're sitting there going, hey, what we blinked and we're in first place. So it's just one of those things that creating that internal competition, not only in the pitching group but the position player group, just constantly pushing one another. It gets the most out of every player, and it gives you the best chance to win a lot of baseball games. And obviously bonding and creating that brotherhood is also huge in far as a long season and making a postseason run. But just having that internal competition, those guys to bounce ideas off of. Personally, I'm still learning in this game. I still have a lot to learn as a pitcher, and I'm excited to get into this group of guys that are some young guys, but also some veteran guys that I can pull some tips from and continue to improve my game as well.
My main takeaway from all of this today is that the Diamondbacks got a real one in Corbin Burnes, right? I've talked about being present when Corbin Burnes was discussing his arbitration hearing with the Brewers and how he took that personally, right? Like, there was definitely feelings involved, and it made me realize in that moment that he was kind of a different guy, right? A lot of people, you have the Josh Rojas's of the world who react the way they do to arbitration, and then you have Corbin Burnes who felt like he was really trying to be a franchise player for the Brewers, and again took that process very personally in regards to the way it went and the things that were said about him in order to lower his value during that process, right? What I heard out of him today is a very sincere guy that, again, I think has more to life than just money. And again, when you are an athlete at his level, typically money drives all of the decisions. We're not just talking about an extra $500,000 or an extra $2 million. This man could have potentially made close to $90 million more somewhere else. With the 2-year opt-out, he still has the ability to still, have a lot to offer Major League Baseball and maybe get that big contract should he decide after 2 years that he no longer wants to be a part of this franchise. That's in the future, and much like Gallen's contract, now is not the time to talk about that. Now is the time to say, I don't think that's the case. I really feel like this is a guy who's going to be here for all 6 seasons, and is a guy that's going to help this Diamondbacks team be very competitive in the toughest division in all of baseball. So just excited to have him here. Much like many of you, it feels like this is big. And now Mike Hazen has more work to do right now. Like I alluded to several times on Friday's show when I couldn't get my brain to stop thinking about Jesse and start working properly. I will say that this is one of those situations where Mike Hazen, can really cook now with the assets that he has, with the surplus of certain positions that are available to trade, and do it without spending much financially. And that's something that this team right now still needs to figure out a way. They still need to kind of ball out on a budget. And, again, the Corbin Burnes signing doesn't really help with that. It's a surprising eyebrow raising move, but I love it. And you have to love, seeing an organization that, again, we report on them. We often say like they are not really going to be able to compete financially with a lot of the teams, even within their own division, let alone across baseball. They still find a way to do it, though. They still find a way to bring great players here to the Valley. Let's thank this weather right now. It's pretty cold outside, but I mean, still, it's beautiful. It's blue skies. It's great stuff. You're not shoveling snow, are you? So again, let's thank the weather because it's a little bit of an advantage for us. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk about some other additions that might not be as sexy or high profile as Corbin Burnes, but the Diamondbacks still making moves, and they are definitely out on the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. But who needs him? We got Corbin Burnes. We have more on the other side of this break. This is the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast. Of course, you can drive into the new year in a new Ford from our friends at Sanderson Ford. New year, new vehicle, new you. Why not? Definitely makes for a lot of fun in 2025. Take the whole family out in style and save 11 grand off a new Expedition. You can hit the trails and make your own way in a new Bronco Badlands, which is still just the coolest name for a vehicle that you could imagine. Like, imagine telling your friends, like, no, mine's the Badlands that's parked out there next to the Fiat, right? Sanderson has 28 vehicles to choose from with discounts up to $10,000 off. So check out all of the best deals that they have in 2025. Choose Sanderson Ford for a no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense experience, and get more for your trade with easy on the spot financing. Drive into the new year in a new Ford from Arizona's most awarded Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford. Of course, Carol Royce is here to help you take care of selling your home. And sometimes you have to do that in a hurry. Carol Royce is family owned, locally operated, with 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun, and she will help you get the most for your home in the shortest amount of time. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes across the Valley, and she knows the Arizona real estate market. If you're looking for a cash offer, why settle for just one? Carol Royce can bring you 6, 7, sometimes even 8, and you can pick the best one. If you're considering selling your home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions, call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Well, today marks the beginning of the international free agent market being open. International signing day is today, and the Diamondbacks are out on the biggest international signee. But don't feel bad, because so are pretty much every team in baseball that aren't the Dodgers, Padres, and Blue Jays. Right now, Sasaki, according to reports, his decision is down to one of those teams. John Gambador reported, I believe, yesterday, or maybe it was Monday. These days, without this show, these days all run together for me. But that the Diamondbacks are definitely out. And the Diamondbacks have been connected to 3 young outfielders that are top 100 prospects as far as Baseball America is concerned for their international prospects. But do the Diamondbacks even need Roki Sasaki? I ask that sincerely, right? What, are we going to have an 8-man rotation? That's unprecedented. So they have plenty in their starting rotation. At this point, though, we are all Blue Jays fans, right? I'm in blue today for a reason, and that's because I root for Toronto in this situation. Let's make sure Sasaki ends up in the AL East, folks. That's the best outcome, right? Like, again, Piece of Yoshi understands it. The Blue Jays, again, we love our Blue Jays fans, some of the best, most polite fans I've ever dealt with of an opposing team. And I will say, I hope to celebrate you tonight or tomorrow, whenever that news breaks, because we need him out of this division. But the Diamondbacks have been connected, according to Baseball FR. The Diamondbacks will, or I guess that's been made official. They signed corner outfielder Elian De La Cruz. If you say it fast, it gets people really excited. Elian De La Cruz, right? Not that Ellie De La Cruz guy, unfortunately, but Elian De La Cruz, who is a consensus top 35 player. I think some rankings have him as high as 28th, so that's fun. He's a power hitting outfielder, and he's drawn comparisons to Marcell Ozuna, who's only 17 years old. They also will sign Venezuelan outfielder Rodney Suarez, which there's 2 cool Diamondbacks names from the past put together as one. He, according to reports, is the 87th ranked international prospect per Baseball America. And according to Baseball America, another Dominican outfielder, Mayki de la Rosa, will also sign with the Diamondbacks as an international free agent. So 2 Dominican Republic players, both, I'm sure that, that academy that they have in the Dominican had a big part in them signing. So the Diamondbacks have moved on from Sasaki, but they get themselves some very fine young players. So that's a very exciting update. The Diamondbacks, as many of you know, we kind of touched on it because the news broke while we were doing the last show, but the Diamondbacks also added a couple of other players recently. They added utility infielder Greg Kessinger from the Astros in a trade. We kind of talked about that. In AAA, over 67 games last year, he slashed 262, 337, 388 with a 725 OPS and 22 RBI. He had 6 home runs. That's good. He also went hitless in 25 plate appearances for the Astros at a major league level. Not so good. So again, hopefully he can be a serviceable replacement for Kevin Newman. But Kevin Newman really was a big asset for this team last year. And I think, again, another undervalued signing at the time. Kevin Newman now with the Angels, and hopefully best wishes to him. Hopefully he goes on to do big things for them. Diamondbacks also claimed former Rays catcher Rene Pinto off waivers from the Orioles. He will potentially be a backup. They do have a couple of other players that they've picked up as well. He did not have a great season last year in 53 games for AAA Durham. He slashed 199, 257, 373, and he also has the highest strikeout rate among active players with at least 200 plate appearances. So not great there. But again, the Diamondbacks have kind of some roles that they need to fill, backup roles, potentially utility infielder role, like I said, with Greg Kessinger. So not sure if these guys will be the answer for them in regards to that, but they are some pretty inexpensive options that they've kind of picked up. But yeah, in regards to the international signings, these kids could be some absolute beasts for this team, and very exciting to see. Again, the Diamondbacks kind of move on. This is kind of the problem with the Sasaki situation where, these other teams that he's down to, if he doesn't make his decision soon, they could miss out on some very high level talent because they're all waiting at this point to get, the notification if they won or not. So not great for overall, international signings, but it is good that they're just down to those 3 teams. So again, Diamondbacks still looking for ways to improve, and with the money spent, we'll need to figure out a way to do so, especially today on the Corbin Burnes contract. But we will have more. We are not stopping. We have more on the other. These guys are going live, so go maybe watch the Suns. But join us on GoPHNX.com. We will continue this party, and we have some more about the Diamondbacks and when that 2025 season kicks off. Not too far away, just 28 days until pitchers and catchers report. We love you guys from the TV side. We appreciate you as always. Of course, Cult Cannabis, I am a big fan of, and Cult Cannabis is just an amazing cannabis company. Great flower is hard to find these days, but our guys over at the PHNX Puffs podcast can attest to Cult Cannabis dropping some absolute fire off here at the PHNX office and at your local True Leaf. So that includes the True Leaf exclusive Magic Marker. Magic Marker, it might as well be Mind Eraser. I would love to tell you my experience with it, but I don't really remember it. But the Valley has been asking for the return of Magic Marker, and now she's back. Don't miss out on Thursdays. They got deal days from our friends at Cult Cannabis at your local neighborhood True Leaf. 2 Cult jars for $70. $35 a jar. What a deal. Get that on Thursday over at True Leaf. We love Cult Cannabis. We love True Leaf. So get to trueleaf.com, find your local dispensary, and get these Cult jars before they run out, specifically that Magic Marker. Get over to trueleaf.com to find your local shop or place an order and tell them PHNX sent you. And tell them the mayor sent you. They'll know what you mean.
And if you're in the Maricopa area, they actually just opened up a new True Leaf location.
That's right.
There last weekend.
Yes.
This past weekend.
Hey man,
So
True
if
Leaf's
you're out
everywhere.
in that area and you've been thirsting for some good flour, it just landed. Just dropped. So.
And speaking of thirsting, make sure to stop by America's Thirst Stop. This is Studio K. We love Circle K. I need a Froster in my life right now, and you can stop by, get yourself something to drink. Of course, you can also join the Inner Circle program for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. When you do, you'll save 25 cents off on your first 5 fill-ups. You also save 3 cents off per gallon every day after that. You'll get your first 5 Polar Pops free, and you'll get buy 5, get a 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products. So do not miss out. Get over to Circle K today. It's America's thirst stop, and get yourself something to drink. Well, we're wrapping up. It's almost time for me to get out of here, but we do have our first workout dates of the 2025 season. So we are very, very close to baseball returning. Pitchers and catchers will report on Wednesday, February 12th. I will be out there just hanging out, milling around, taking up space, not belonging, and that's just 28 days away. So coincidentally enough, I don't know if you know this, that's also National Hug Day. Any coincidence? I don't think so. It's the power of friendship. It is the power of Zach Gallen being super amped about his new best friend, Corbin Burnes, joining the team. That's like camp or school when you just hope that the new kid is going to be like your best friend for life. Like you're like, this kid, he's gonna be the one, right? I think that's already forming between Gallen and Corbin Burnes.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, that thing, right? Yeah, that's going to happen, right? But again, the first full squad workout is 5 days later on Monday, February 17th. And then the Diamondbacks' first Cactus League game of the spring will be held on February 21st, just a few days later versus the Colorado Rockies. So make sure to get out there for workouts. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There is no, spring training and workouts is the best access to just hanging out with baseball players that you'll ever experience. There are fan areas where you can just watch the workouts. You can hang out. Fans will come over, or the players will come over. They'll sign baseballs. They'll sign your jersey. It's a great vibe. It's a great vibe. And it really, again, if you love baseball as much as I do, it's just the smell of the grass, the crack of the bat, the ball hit in the mitt. There's nothing better than that. And really, it's a good time just to get out, enjoy this wonderful weather that we have here going on in February, and watch some baseball. So again, there's going to be a lot going on very quickly, and it feels like the Diamondbacks don't really have a lot of time. They asked Corbin Burnes today about this signing getting done, early enough for him to have a normal offseason, and obviously a player of his contract, of his caliber, of 4-time All-Star like him. Is it surprising that you got this deal done, so early? And I think at the end of the day, this was a deal that Burnes very much wanted, the Diamondbacks wanted, his agent wanted, and everybody just came together to not really make this a process of waiting things out to see how much money other teams were going to offer him. There could be the potential that a team comes in with an offer that you simply just can't refuse, but put you in a situation where, from a life perspective, you're just unhappy, right? And I think that was something that went into this decision, because it was brought up time and time again today about his family. I mean, Corbin Burnes' entire family was present at the press conference today, not just his wife and children, but his parents, his wife's parents. And it was a very, it was the theme of the day, which was, you're doing this because you want to live somewhere that makes your family happy. You want to be somewhere that makes you happy. And you also like the team. You look over at the guys on the team. You see what they did in 2023. You see how adding yourself to that team could be the difference maker, especially a team that fell 1 game short last year of making the playoffs. I don't think many of us were very confident last season if they made the playoffs on what they could do, or if they were going to replicate what they did in 2023. However, we would have loved the chance at that. We would have loved to see what this scrappy team of snakes could do, in the playoffs. And I think that Corbin Burnes absolutely makes this a dangerous team. It makes this a very dangerous team. And going forward, we will see what the Diamondbacks do to fill the DH role and other roles. And again, it would most likely be via trades. There might be players that the Diamondbacks have to part with that everybody is going to very much miss should they, have to trade away one of their young outfielders. So far, Mike Hazen has done a good job of making trades that didn't feel like they were impacting this team in a huge way. Trading away Slade Coney, even though he still has a bright future and a lot of potential, didn't feel like you were taking away a major piece of this team's future in the same way it would be if you traded away, say, a Brandon Pfaadt or even maybe a Jake McCarthy, right? So again, there's a lot of work to be done. I think it's going to be done here pretty quickly. So hopefully we'll have some news for you by next Wednesday. I hope you guys come back here and join us again at 2 p.m. next Wednesday, and we will update you on everything the Diamondbacks did. Of course, hopefully did between now and then. But we also have lots of other things going on with this team. I mean, again, the additions that they made aren't really players necessarily that are for sure going to be in those roles that they're acquiring them. We do not know if, someone like Gray Kessinger is going to, in fact, be that Kevin Newman type backup infielder role, or if Rene Pinto even makes this team, when opening day comes around as a backup catcher, right? But the Diamondbacks, again, have some major, things to address. There's been some reports of the Diamondbacks being connected to Carlos Estevez. And even though he isn't currently a closer for the Phillies, he is a guy that we've talked about in the past that could be a back-end reliever for this team that really helps, solidify the bullpen and makes this, again, this team's already pretty formidable. But if they can figure out a way to establish that closer and prevent, kind of some of the back end struggles that they had last season. Obviously, it's going to be different no matter what without Paul here anymore, and with the Diamondbacks kind of, I guess, confirming that whoever is going to be the closer for this team will come via a trade or via free agency, which kind of rules out that anybody like currently in the bullpen is going to vie for that closer position, right? But again, Carlos Estevez could definitely be that for this team. And again, there's other options out there. Diamondbacks, they move in stealth. So we don't even know what they're doing. We have no idea. They keep their cards close to their vest. I did find out today, by the way, or not today, I think it was yesterday, I read an article that at one point the Padres had planned to build their ballpark as a floating island. And all I can think is, yeah, like an actual floating island. And now this wasn't an idea.
Fun, though.
This wasn't
it's
an
nonsense, but
it's
fun.
nonsense, but it's funny. It's funny. But you know what that sounds like is a dumb science fiction idea from like the 60s. And you'd be right, because it was a dumb idea from like the 60s when that team was, basically being created. And all I could think when I got this information is, we can't lose to this team. This team was going to have their ballpark be a floating island of trash, basically. And then we can't lose to that. And I hope Roki Sasaki doesn't go there. I definitely hope he doesn't go to the Dodgers. And I hope every team in the National League West gets a little worse. That's my honest feelings. But you can tweet me if you feel differently. I know BC wasn't here today. That's a big day.
That's because BC's been in the Wildcats chat.
Oh, yeah. BC's. I was surprised not to see it, but of course, I do appreciate you guys. Chris says, Suns is live, but I'm dedicated to you, good sir. All hail our PHNX mayor. By the way, at our staff meeting yesterday, Espo conceded finally. It took a long time. But it's a peaceful transfer of power, and I guess not transfer of power. He's going away peacefully, right? He's not arguing the results anymore.
A peaceful exit from the competition,
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful little mini ceremony there, Derek. You got your acknowledgement as the official mayor of PHNX. We all sang your praises pretty much. We did all but carry you out on the throne.
Which I'm really mad that I didn't get that, by the way. I wanted it to be like, I don't know, like a bar mitzvah or something where you guys get me up in the chair or something, but well, there's time for that. I do appreciate every single one of you guys so much for stopping by. Of course, like I said, we will be back next Wednesday with another 2 p.m. show, and we will be discussing hopefully some more Diamondbacks news as we move closer and closer to the beginning of the 2025 season, which is very exciting. It'll be just 21 days away. We're going week by week. It's on a Wednesday, so it's like we'll be there before you know it. But of course, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman for some reason on Twitter. Our guy Kev is at Kevo Posts. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for being Arizona Diamondbacks fans and look forward to whatever other additions that Mike Hazen can make to this team in a very short amount of time before pitchers and catchers report, and hopefully fill this team out and make this a very well-rounded team. It feels like they're so close to that. So we appreciate you hanging out with us today, and we will see you next week. Until then, it's a long time, but I still want you guys to make sure you enjoy yourselves this week. Have a great week. Have a wonderful week. A wonderful weekend. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you base your decisions on the love of your family and not the love of money.
We all silly like the mayor.